Cause it's a plot to drop the IQ. Fighting amongst each other over rumors that don't like you. Prefer us trapped in melancholy with the wood wands of holly. Suggestions that obliterate to camouflage the folly. Attempted mental robbery, executed sloppily. The paupers see this mockery and walk the talk with me. Put the hands up to touch the akasha. Cause you know deep down there's something bigger than your wallet.
Sweet eternal balance of all that is good, true, and beautiful, friends. There is never anything more precious in this world than a baby. All potentials exist within a child. This creation is the closest to source that we ever get to be until we return to where we came from when this life is over. And the bonds that form between a mother and a child are nearly superhuman and defy all constrictions. So any mother facing the harming of their child would naturally be ready to go to any extreme to protect that child. But what if those we trust to help us protect our children are the exact ones harming them? Tonight we dig deep into the maiming and murdering committed by the medical mafia from a first-hand account of a brave and beautiful woman, Courtney Chancey. Courtney, thank you so much. It's so excellent to have you here tonight.
Hi, everybody. It's good to be here.
Awesome. Before we jump in, I'm going to remind everyone that you can find a bunch more content from me and Rogueways on my site, rogueways.org or CoreySharman.com, whichever you prefer. You can also, if you're there, grab a tarot reading. I just had another really profound tarot reading. I'm just really grateful that I get to offer these to people. So if you're someone who's searching for some clarification or deeper insight into any of the issues or ideas in your life, then that is an option for you. And I highly suggest you do that if you've been sitting on the fence. It's highly worth it. Anybody you talk to who's had a tarot reading from me would agree. So go for it. You can also buy my book right now for me for less than you can get it on Amazon. This is Sine Curve of Aeons. It's on sale right now. On Amazon, it's $15, but you can just PayPal me $15 and cut out the taxes and the shipping, and I'll mail it to you anywhere in the continental United States. So go to paypal.me/Corey Sharman. And that is where you can donate $15 and get a book. You can also donate anything that you want. I have a few more people recognizing that Rogueways has been giving them value for years and kicking me a little bit of value back for that. And I really appreciate that. Thank you to my donors. And I now have a Subscribe Star up and running, and I would love to show it to you, but I don't have it ready right now. So if you go to subscribestar.com/rogue-ways, you will find me on there. I've already got some pretty awesome videos with Michael Wan. It's in preparation for the event this summer, Logic Convention, but they end up being something that anybody would enjoy listening to. So if you want to hear some of the amazingly awesome conversations we've had, I know that Courtney has listened to one recently that really affected her. So that's on Subscribestar, as well as my audiobooks, which are now starting to roll out. I've got the prologue up. Anybody can listen to that. That's actually open to the public, just so you can get a little taste. And then chapter 1 is up too, and more chapters will be coming from the audiobook. So if you're a subscriber to my Subscribestar, you get that type of content in addition to all of this free stuff I give to you. And finally, the podcast is back up. It's not just on YouTube and DLive and Facebook anymore. The show is back in podcast form. So any of your podcast apps should be updated by now. If not, just go in and refresh the feed and that should work. If you're someone who needs to actually copy and paste that feed URL, then that is on my site and you can find that there to get that working in your podcast app. So podcast is back by popular demand. Now, back to the episode. I have a pointless question of the episode every time, Courtney, and today I was going to ask you, what is your favorite thing to do in nature?
My favorite thing to do in nature is probably to just be alone.
Yeah.
I don't get a lot of alone time. I have 4 kids, so
yikes.
Yeah, I just like to be alone and just listen. Just listen to something that's not just demands and, little gripes and complains. But yeah, I think being alone is probably my favorite thing to do in any setting.
Yeah. I feel you.
For at least a little while.
Right.
And
I'm not even
breaks are precious.
Yes. And I'm not even an introvert necessarily. I kind of hover between the middle mark. Sometimes I'm a little introverted and sometimes I'm a little extroverted, but I'm usually in the middle. But I still love being alone, all of the time. I think we all need that kind of recharge.
I'm very comfortable being alone, being by myself with my own thoughts. So even though they're a little wacky, but
yes,
I'm still okay with them.
That's the best way to go, though. We were just talking today in Eyes Open. Somebody posted something and kind of about like negative entities or negative energies and how they kind of affect you and kind of what you can do about that. And when somebody said, Christy Jones actually said, you know, time to go out and spend some time alone in nature so we can like recharge and get a head up on this. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. Like anytime you go spend time in nature, I think, you know, you're kind of refilling your soul and you're refilling your energy and getting ready for whatever's coming next, which is sometimes quite harrowing. But
It's always something.
yeah. So I wanted to, before we get into the sort of meat of this, you know, issue of your child being drastically harmed by the medical industry and what you've kind of done about that and how that has gone. I wanted to ask you kind of where you came from and like what your earlier life was like and growing up and stuff.
I was raised on a really big dairy farm, probably one of the largest privately owned dairies in the South. My dad had all girls. He probably at some point before he had kids wished he had boys that could help him around the dairy, but no, he stuck with 3 girls. So, but so I mean, we worked hard-ish, you know, but we were still kind of fairly spoiled, but I was raised in a very rural area. We were 20 minutes from the nearest town, neither direction. We didn't go to the doctor very much unless if it couldn't be super glued back together or duct taped on, you know, or splinted and it was obviously life-threatening, then we went to the doctor, you know. So I didn't get many vaccinations as a kid. So
Wow.
I kind of I was always kind of lax with my kids with, you know, they had to be very sick. You know, I would doctor them first before I take them to the doctor.
And is this because you kind of have a medical background now, but, you know, was this before you had a medical background? You're kind of already in that mindset of.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up watching, if my dad had diagnosed himself with strep throat, he would go get some of the cow penicillin that he had and give himself an injection, you know? So
that's pretty awesome.
So I was kind of always like that.
Yeah, independent. So then as you're kind of growing up and going out in the world, where did you sort of head first and how did that go?
I graduated high school earlier. Graduated high school at 14, and my parents let me move to Lafayette, you know, Southwest Louisiana, like 2.5 hours away from where I grew up. I grew up actually in Kentwood, where Britney Spears is from.
Oh wow!
I didn't know her.
Yeah.
my sister went to school with her, but I didn't know.
Wow.
Her. Yeah. So we So yeah, so I went to college for 3 years in Lafayette, and then got homesick and had a lot of anxiety and withdrew one semester and decided I was still a kid and I moved back home.
It's because you were only like 17 then at this point, right?
Yeah, I was almost 17 whenever I moved back home, and then I finished up my first degree in biology at Southeastern, the university in Hammond, which is it's like 45 minutes north of New Orleans. And then I felt pressed to pick a career, so I went to nursing school after that, and I graduated nursing school in 99 whenever I was 19 years old.
And what was your
couldn't buy beer?
What was your motivation for choosing nursing?
No, I have no idea because I have no idea. It's like I think I wanted to go to medical school.
Yeah.
But at that point I was burnt out.
Yeah.
You know, my school had been my focus for so long, and I'm just like, I just want to be done.
Yeah.
You know,
really clearly like hyper motivated on this like fast track. So I can see why
but I was a kid. I was really too young to decide what I wanted to do, you know,
for the rest of your life. Yeah.
Right. I don't think I would have been well equipped to make that decision until I was at least in my mid 30s.
Yeah.
You know, so, but I went to nursing school and I've done that since 99.
Wow. So you've stuck with it longer than a lot of people do too. Cause I know teaching and nursing have kind of a high burnout rate because we're just sort of always like pouring our energy into other people. Oh yeah. Good.
Right. I've taken breaks like 3-4 years at a time. And gone back, and actually just recently went back full time.
So
So
is this like was getting into nursing in any way part of your sort of awakening to the sort of truth beneath the surface of everything in the world, or was there something else?
no, I don't know what it was. I think what it was. It had a lot to do. My parents were just inherently distrustful of everything that of government, of doctors, of everything. They just were skeptical. They were super skeptical of
So
everything.
you were
I
raised in
mean,
that culture, sort of.
right.
Yeah.
I was refusing the flu shot back in '99, whenever I started nursing, back
Yeah.
before they used to punish you by and try to shame you by making you wear masks,
Yeah.
you know. But I don't know. I just never really I always had a mentality of if it's not broken, don't fix it,
Yeah.
And so yeah, so I think I inherited a healthy distrust of anything that didn't come from my own mind.
Yeah. That's a good way to be. That kind of sets you up for questioning literally anything, which is, I think, what we all hopefully should be striving for, because that's, I think, the best sort of disposition to have. But how did you then become a mother? Were you always kind of planning on motherhood, or was that something that just happened?
Um,
Or
complete lack of responsibility. That's how that happened.
like a lot of people.
um, yeah. And then actually, I never really liked kids, but then I had my first child, and I'm like, you know what? He's actually okay. I still don't like other kids, but
Yeah,
he's
like,
okay.
this one's
You
fine.
know, yeah, this one's fine. So, and then and he's 19. He's an opera singer. He's on the full vocal performance
Wow,
scholarship.
that's
He's
awesome.
super talented. Then I had my second daughter. Yeah, I mean my second child. She's a daughter. She's 12 now, and she is a level 8 competitive gymnast.
Wow,
She's super talented. I'm like, okay, well,
got
my kids
two.
are fucking awesome.
Yeah,
I'm like,
you're making some
like
good ones.
I can't lose.
Yeah.
And then so I had my third child, Jack. He's 9, and he's a very talented artist. My dad was an artist, and my
Interesting.
niece, it kind of runs in my family. Yeah. um he's also like a little Ferris Bueller. He just kind of does whatever he wants, and everybody
Yeah.
thinks he's hilarious. But then I thought I was done. I'm like, I'm totally done having kids.
Yeah.
That's enough.
Yeah.
I'm pushing my luck. If I got 3 good ones, so I'm good.
Yeah.
And then another moment of irresponsibility, and then I found myself pregnant for the 4th time, and I probably cried like until the day I went into labor. I
Wow.
was just like, I'm so old. I'm 37, and every time I go to the doctor, they're like, they had to throw around the term advanced maternal age. I'm like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Don't they also say they literally call it a geriatric pregnancy?
I think that's a joke.
Okay,
I
because
think
my
that's
sister and my sister-in-law and my best friend all had babies in the last like 2 years, and they're all 37 and above when they're giving birth,
Yeah.
and they all were called a geriatric pregnancy. And I was like, that
Are you
seems pretty
serious?
fucked up. Yeah, and this is in the Pacific
Because that's
Northwest, where they're like supposed to be fucking woke and kind or
yeah,
whatever.
because that's actually a joke that we would say to mine. I have a cousin that I'm very close to that's my age, and she just had a baby last year at 41, and that's what we said it was a geriatric pregnancy. So I thought it was a joke, but
I think people in the South are way nicer than people in the North, honestly. So it's probably just a culture thing.
probably so. Yeah, I thought it was a joke, but she, I don't know. It sounds like an insult.
Yeah, no, it sounds fucked up. I'm like, why would you even say that to someone? Like, even if it were technically true, it seems like when someone's pregnant, you want to give them all the like best energy and best ideas in their head, and like super pep talk time, not like the geriatric time. Like, it's weird.
Yeah, not tell me how old I am, and not remind me of how old I am every time I come in.
Yeah. All right, so you're a little bit unplanned, a little bit later than you wanted.
Yeah. So, and actually, I had genetic testing done with my 4th child, with Ross, because of a little scare that we had with Jack. They did it, and I had so many ultrasounds. I had no idea how awful they were.
Oh yeah.
But with Jack, they pretty much told me that he had Edwards syndrome, which is incompatible with life, condition incompatible with life.
Wow.
They were were totally wrong, but they forced me to have an amniocentesis,
Wow.
and so of course whenever I got pregnant again with Ross, they insisted they have an amniocentesis, and so genetically he's perfect, everything's fine. So I have him, and he is the most delightful baby, like, and never cried, and that's what my mom said.
Should we show the?
See, you were so upset.
Should we show the good picture?
Oh yeah, he was so cute. Yeah.
There he goes. You can't see it, but everyone else can.
Oh yeah, he was just like, I felt like such an asshole for being so upset for being pregnant, because he was such a sweet kid, just always happy. Yeah.
You can see in his eyes, he's just got this presence and connection. That's cute.
Oh yeah, and he was already at a year, he was, he had a larger vocabulary at a year old than any of my kids did.
Wow.
And
well, there's not even necessarily, I know they say like a year is when kids start talking, but some kids don't necessarily until like 2. So just the fact that he had a vocabulary at 1 is like pretty impressive.
I didn't speak a word until I was 2. Yeah. But my mom said that she thought I was just a snob. Like I just didn't want to talk to anybody. So because when I started talking, I was talking in complete sentences, But yeah, he was just, just always happy. I was like, oh, he's such an easy baby. Thank God, because I'm old and I'm feeling it. And so I was always behind on his vaccination schedule because, I only took him to the doctor when he was really sick. And my pediatrician growing up, my mom would drive us out of state to way up in Tylertown, Mississippi, to go to this doctor that she trusted. She was an East Indian woman. And she would always tell my parents to not vaccinate us when we were sick. If we went in when we were sick and we were due for a vaccination, she'd say, make an appointment, come back later. I don't vaccinate if you're sick because your immune system is already in kind of a frenzy. And, she said that's when bad things happen, is what she said. Wow. Yeah. So Ross was behind on his immunizations. Probably I think he was due for his 12 and his 15-month immunizations. He was 16 months and he had such a bad ear infection. And, I kind of doctored on him, tried some natural things, and that had worked in the past and it just wasn't working. So I took him into the doctor, and so he said, okay, he looked at his ear for 2 seconds, said, okay, give him some antibiotics. And he said, by the way, he's due for, a whole laundry list of things. Plus, he should get the flu shot. And I said, we're not going to do the flu shot. Yeah. I said, I'm going to make an appointment to come back when he's not sick. I said, my doctor always said that you can't vaccinate when they're sick. And he's like, oh, that's an old wives' tale, and he's like, he bullied me into doing but I wouldn't let him do all of them. But I agreed to do the MMR that day. Yeah. And so he had the MMR, and on the way home, and I live about 12 minutes from the doctor's office, about halfway home, he was so knocked out that I couldn't tell if he's breathing or not. Like I pulled over at McDonald's, like just pulled in the parking lot and got out of my car and, went in the back seat to try to wake him up. And but it was so hard to wake him up, and I get him home, and he slept for about 9 hours straight. Wow. He woke up screaming, and he did not stop screaming for about 9 weeks. Wow. For the better part of 9 weeks.
Oh my God.
And I mean, sleeping for 30 minutes at a time. And within 12 hours of the shot, cheeks are red. He had just red cheeks that never, and that didn't go away for almost a year, just an eczema. Wow. And he had fever. Of course, first thing I did was call the doctor's office and said, give him Tylenol, which is the worst thing you can do because it opens the blood-brain barrier.
Oh, Jesus.
Allows all the junk in.
Yeah.
Which, really pisses me off, knowing that now they tell you to tell parents to give them Tylenol before you take them to get their vaccinations.
No way.
So have that blood-brain barrier open.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that's recommended, is to give them Tylenol before they get, on the way to get their vaccinations.
So step one, anyone listening, don't give Tylenol to your kid.
Nope. No Tylenol. We don't do ibuprofen either, but
yeah.
But it's the same. Just in the past couple of years that they started recommending that you give Tylenol beforehand. So within 12 hours, and this is absolutely disgusting, but this is what I believe really caused all of his issues. Is within 12 hours, the diarrhea started. I'm talking like 15, 20 times a day.
Wow.
Change the bed, throw him in the bathtub. Very weird smell. I mean, I'll describe. It smelled like burnt motor oil. It was very weird,
and
it was very acidic.
And you're a mother 4 times now. It's not like you haven't smelled poop a lot, and you're a nurse. Like, you're familiar with these things. This is a very bizarre occurrence.
Right. It smelled like. I mean, it's the oddest thing. I still don't really know exactly what it is, what the smell is. But even today, if he accidentally eats gluten, and I can tell immediately. I can tell with it. I'm like, he had gluten. But
Wow.
But yeah. So 15, 20 times a day, he wasn't sleeping. He was at all times either grabbing his head screaming, or doubled over grabbing his belly screaming.
Wow. I don't even know how you as a mother would get through this at all, like just watching your child in that much pain.
Well, I mean, the first thing I did was I brought him to the doctor. I said, he had the shot, this happened, fix him.
Yeah.
And it only took me that visit to realize that I was not going to get any help there.
Because they won't even acknowledge that the two things are connected, even though it's like so fucking obvious. Like, this happened and then this happened.
Yeah, I mean, and I even waited a week because I called the doctor first, and they said that, this type of reaction is normal. Give him Tylenol. Don't give him any milk. Don't give him any dairy till his stomach settles. They called him in Zofran or something for his stomach, and said call back in a week if he's still sick.
If he's not dead in a week, call back.
Yeah, I mean. It was so bad within a week. Like, I remember one night sitting in a recliner holding him because he would only sleep for 30 minutes to an hour at a time. And both of us just covered in diarrhea, but he was sleeping and I wasn't going to wake him up.
Yeah.
Because that was the first time he had slept. And I'm just like, what the fuck is wrong?
Yeah.
And so once I realized that we were not going to get any help, we did go see a pediatric gastroenterologist because I had pretty much just, decided it sounded like he had celiac disease, and it was very early. I was not putting everything together, but I'm like, okay, the immediate issue is the stomach. It was so bad that I don't even think I realized that he never spoke another word from the day he got the shot. He didn't speak again. Because he was just screaming all the time.
Wow.
So the pediatric gastroenterologist tested him for celiac disease and for gluten allergies. Said that he does not have celiac disease. He does not have any allergies to gluten. However, I know that whenever I took him off of gluten for 3 days, he improved just vastly. It's just like a different child.
So their tests are bullshit.
Right. And so even today, like I will still tell people that are going to be in charge of having food around him that he has celiac disease, because they understand that, they accept that. They're not going to accept, he has some vague issue due to a vaccine injury that, gluten makes so much worse.
Right.
But whatever the issue is with the vaccines, is it destroyed his gut.
God.
And that was huge.
Isn't it interesting?
So the first thing I did was,
just that your gut is like literally your second brain. And so the fact that it's attacking your like neurologically and your gut, it's almost like it's targeted to those two central processing systems of your body,
I think it absolutely is. Of course, back then I didn't know that the gut was, your second brain. I was just like somebody please stop
Help
that.
my
I'm knee deep
kid.
in diarrhea, or help,
Yeah.
help me, somebody help. But so first thing I did was, I put him back on gluten because the doctor said he had no issues with gluten. He immediately got sick again.
Wow.
So I said, okay, I don't care. That's the last time. I'm
Yeah.
not going back to the doctor.
Like,
Took him
trust
off
your
of gluten
senses.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, took him off gluten totally. After about 6 weeks or so, immediately his stomach issues, they didn't resolve, but I mean, they were manageable.
Yeah.
But he stopped screaming all the time. He stopped being in obvious physical discomfort. And so that's whenever I finally was able to breathe for a minute
Yeah.
and
Reflect.
look into some things. And then I realized, holy shit, he's not talking.
Should I show?
I'm like, why is he not talking?
Should I show the second picture?
Yeah, that was the day I realized that he wasn't talking and he wasn't making eye contact anymore.
And you can just see it in his face. Like
He's just
kind
gone.
of slack and gone. Yeah. It's so heartbreaking. I hate
red cheeks. It's totally just gone, but yeah, it took getting his stomach somewhat manageable before I even noticed that. That's how bad it was, that it took me that long to realize, holy shit, he's not talking anymore.
God.
And
if you spend time with children at all, this slack face and this like empty gaze is like, that's like maybe an adult thing. We sometimes are like, we zone out because we're like overwhelmed, but kids are like always present. They're always in the moment unless something fucked up has happened to them. Like, it's creepy.
They want to be engaged. They want you to engage with them. And he was just, I would get right next to his ear and be like, Ross, Ross, nothing. Just like absolutely nothing.
Wow.
So that was at 16 months. Whenever he was 20 months, took him to a developmental pediatrician to have him tested for autism, because I knew he was, but everybody around me acted like I just lost my fucking mind.
God.
So,
how awful
they're like, they're like, well, Courtney, you were a weird kid. He's just a weird kid. I'm like, yeah, but he wasn't a weird kid before this.
Yeah.
I was always a weird kid. He was not a weird kid before this.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, you don't go from having a high vocabulary and being engaged to like not talking at all, screaming nonstop, and not being engaged.
And sick, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we so he was diagnosed with as being on the spectrum, moderate nonverbal at that time. But like I said, with the stomach issues kind of at least manageable, I started looking into some other things, and all the stories from parents whose kids have been injured by the MMR, they're all the same.
Yeah.
They're all the same. The gut, the stomach issues, the eczema, the non-specific gluten issues. But yeah, after being off of gluten for so long, at about that time, I took him off of dairy too. Took him off of soy, no processed food whatsoever. And he began at least looking comfortable, even though he was nonverbal. He was at least comfortable. He wasn't making eye contact or anything, but he was sleeping well. So I had read about high dose vitamin C therapy. Now I know in my area there's no doctor that's going to help me with that, so I just kind of had to wing it on my own.
Yeah.
But because there were so many things that we tried and did, and some of them show, I saw improvement with. Some of it gave us like huge leaps of improvement.
Wow.
There were probably 4 things that really gave a noticeable, like, okay, that did something.
Yeah.
The first thing was taking him off of gluten. The second thing was the high dose vitamin C therapy. We started out with giving him 500 milligrams a day, and we upped it by 500 milligrams every 3 days until he started having stomach issues. We just did it to his digestive tolerance.
Yeah.
And so he got to 5,000 milligrams a day.
Nice.
And he's still on that. And it's like the most powerful antioxidant. It just allows the body to heal itself.
Wow.
And so, and once he was on like maybe 90 days at 5,000 milligrams, and he started talking again. But He wasn't actually, it wasn't conversational speech.
Right.
It was the walking up to the TV screen when it's paused and saying, and pointing out the letters, like it's saying A and N and O. And
I think we have
know.
that. Oops. Should we show that video right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a video of him doing that.
Here we go. A. It's so cute to watch because it's almost like he's like overwhelmed or shocked at like, oh, I know all these letters or something. Like, it's really cute.
Yeah, like we were watching a movie and paused it on the credits, and he did that, and then that was a couple weeks after, but the first time that he did it. But yeah, so he started talking, but we would ask him a question. Ross, are you thirsty? And he's like, M. You know, ma, M, you know, and or he'd say K, K, you know, he would say the sound and letter, but I'm like, he's saying something.
At least he's saying something, yeah. But you can tell, like,
right.
So his brain is like trying to figure it out and process it. And it's like, I know this letter. I'll say that to you. Like, I can't imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, so we probably the next big jump was he did that for a couple months, and then we had read about well, I wanted to start him on probiotics, and I was trying to research which type of probiotics, but then I read about prebiotics, which is probiotics that replace the good bacteria back into your digestive system, into your intestine. But the prebiotics is what it does is it feeds only the good bacteria. That's it. And so basically kind of starves the bad bacteria, which helps whenever the bad bacteria or the bacteria that is not supposed to be in the upper part of the intestine, when bacteria is where it's not supposed to be.
Yeah.
So it kind of helps get things back to where they're supposed to be. So I started him on something called inulin powder, which is I think it's made from something very similar to like a Jewish artichoke or something like that.
With the purple sort of spiky top.
Yeah. So it's called inulin powder. So I tried him on that, and after a few weeks on that, he started actually talking. He would say, hey. He would say every variation of the word hello.
Yeah.
Ross, how are you doing? Hey, how you doing? Hey. Hi. Are you thirsty? Hello. But he started talking, but it was with some emotion, and I could tell he was engaging, and he wasn't exactly making eye contact, but he was at least talking to me when
Yeah.
So that kept on probably. I mean, we were not sure. I wasn't sure that how he was, if he was going to be able to start pre-K or not. And thank goodness he has a late birthday, so he kind of had an extra year to see. But I started him on CBD oil.
Awesome. I bet nobody does that. I bet people are scared that
I made my own. I didn't even know. I was scared to order it. Like I didn't know anything. Like I thought I could get in trouble for ordering it. But so I like learned how to make my own.
Right.
And so within 6 months, he's having conversations. It was, short conversations at first, but he was conversing with us.
Wow.
And I remember it was 6 months and 2 days that after he had started on CBD oil, that like I'm in the kitchen cooking and I feel like little arms are on my leg, and I look down, he's hugging me. And I'm like, oh, like I say, he was not affectionate at all. He was just kind of just there.
Yeah.
But
wow.
But yeah, so
what a breakthrough.
So I mean, and we've tried, and after that I've tried him on. I've lots of nootropics like ALA and L-carnitine, theanine. Um, None of those have really made a noticeable difference. The omega-3s didn't really do much for him either, but the high dose vitamin C, the CBD, the probiotics, and the prebiotics.
Wow.
And detox baths.
What's that?
Detox baths. I would give it Epsom salt baths.
Oh, okay.
Like I call them his Dead Sea baths because I
Yeah.
put so much Epsom salt in there, like you're just like floating there,
Yeah.
you know. But because I mean that was really the only detox that I felt comfortable doing on him, being that young.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we still do all of those things to this day. And
I was going to ask do you think if you stopped doing those things, he would regress again? Do you think this is just something that he's going to have to do forever?
No, I don't think so. But I mean, honestly, we're all on the high dose vitamin C now. And, you know, each one of us have a different tolerance to it. You know, my daughter can only take 2,000 milligrams of it, you know, but, and all of my kids take CBD.
Wow.
And, well, my 19-year-old, he just smokes weed, but
yeah,
you know,
good enough.
He doesn't live with me anymore. So he moved out and he does his own thing.
Yeah.
But no, we're all gluten free now.
Okay.
So
are you dairy free as well? Is it the full like celiac diet? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we're dairy free too. Pretty much he's soy free. The other kids have some soy. I mean, it's in everything.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we're all healthier. None of us have had to go to the doctor. And I mean, the just revolving door of ear infections and strep throat and has stopped, you know. Of course, I've had to fight with.
I almost wonder if that's like, because I kind of just, the more I look into vaccines and vaccine damage, the more I'm like, I think everybody's vaccine damaged in some way, if not in multiple ways. And so it seems like, you know, the health that you're describing that's improving is these things are just good for you, but like maybe we're undoing some of our own vaccine damage too when we're doing these things.
I really do think so. I never had even considered vaccine damage at all. Like I put more thought into what color I was going to paint the kids' nurseries than I did, you know, what I was letting be injected into them.
Yeah.
But, you know, I got minimal injections, you know, vaccinations as a kid, just because, you know, they didn't care that much. You know, they didn't really require anything. I think when I started college, I had to have something. Yeah. But I mean, I maybe had a total of 5 or 6 vaccinations you know, and my parents never did the flu shot because, and, you know, both my parents are deceased, but I can just hear my dad just in his Archie Bunker voice, just bitching about every damn time I get the flu shot, I get the flu.
Yeah.
You know, and so
it's true.
It's just like, we're not, you know, it is true. And I know people, I know this little old lady who she lines up for her flu shot. And every time she gets it, she gets the flu. And she's just like, I've just got it too late this year. And I'm like,
oh my God.
Kidding me?
How do you not make the connection? Like you get something injected and then you get sick.
She's just, and it's actually, you know, she's actually fairly close friend of the family, but she also is the one who told me that after I talked to her about Ross, she told me that she had gone to her doctor and asked him, and he said that wasn't true, so I could stop worrying about him.
Yeah, your doctor's going to say that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Like, appreciate it.
I don't know.
I'm glad you cleared that up.
The flu vaccine is the easiest one, or it should be the easiest one for people to pass up. Because when you even look at the CDC's own website and their own statistics, it never works. The average success rate is 10%, right? The most it's ever been successful is something like 30% or maybe 40%. Like it's still not that high. And that's the most successful it's ever been in the history of the flu shot. So you can just look at their own stats and be like, this doesn't work. Why would you inject pig fetus and baby fetus and all this crazy shit into your body when it doesn't do anything except make you sick?
Because they listen to the news.
Yeah.
It's you know, it's
You can't trust your own senses or your own logic. You have to listen to some random person who gets paid to tell you things.
I mean, how long has it been since you watched the news with anything other than a
Scorn.
Skeptical eye?
Yeah, a really long time.
It's been a long time, right?
Yeah.
Sit down and watch the news one night. You will just be like, "Holy shit!" Like, cannot believe that this even that people even buy any of this. It's so cartoonish.
Yeah,
it's like it's so produced and fake. But yeah, so and that's what everybody around me was like, So, yeah. So I didn't get a whole lot of support, but I'm like, fuck you. You're not having to deal with this, my sick kid, and we're not talking about just being sick. I'm talking about like he may not be able to live on his own when he's older. I'm like, I'm gonna do something, and nothing I'm doing is hurting him.
Yes.
Yeah. Except for the not vaccinating thing. That was a huge fight with some family members, but
because you stopped after that.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
All of my kids all have exemptions.
Good.
I'd like to homeschool all my kids, but my daughter's she trains 34 hours a week, and so she's in the gym most of the time, so I'm able to homeschool her a little bit, but I think I eventually will pull Ross out, but right now he's really enjoying like the socialization. Like, I was so worried he was going to be like weird.
Yeah, just like
and the only
not
way he's weird is that he's just right, and he's and he was like that before after everything we had done, but before the CBD oil, he was very smart. But you could tell he just wasn't. He didn't give a shit how anybody else felt. Yeah. But after we started on the CBD is when he got so just like affectionate, and he's like, Mom, you're doing a good job at that. And he's like you clean this kitchen better than anyone's ever cleaned the kitchen before. I mean, just silly stuff, but just I'm like he's trying, But
so because he didn't just recover, he in fact seems to have like leapt ahead to year 85 or something. Like,
well, yeah. What it seemed like to me is we could tell I could tell very early on, like he was obsessed with letters and numbers and almost like savant skills. Yeah. Almost, and it's almost like it's not almost like it. It's like he is he's retained the savant skills, but without the emotional disconnect.
Yeah, it's like you got rid of the worst parts of autism and kept all the best parts.
It's the strangest thing. He just started pre-K this August, and his school, he goes to a little small private school, and they're actually really, really good school. I like them. But it's just K through 8 or pre-K through 8. And his school has an accelerated reading program. But you're not eligible to be in it until at least 3rd grade. Well, he's been reading since he started talking again. Like he was probably reading before we even knew he was reading, We just kind of discovered one day he was like, I was in Walgreens, and then of course there's an aisle full of people, and I'm on, I think the tampon aisle, and he's like, oh, pregnancy test.
You're like,
and I'm like,
shit.
Fuck. I'm like, what? And everybody's like, look at me. I'm like, and he's like 28 months old.
Wow.
I'm like, holy shit, he can read,
That's
and so
crazy.
Start putting stuff in front of his face, like, read this, read that, and he's, he'd read what other people had in their carts and stuff, which sometimes they didn't like, He's like reading condoms and, like, just shut
like
up.
Hemorrhoid ointment. You're like, shut up.
Yes. I was like, holy shit, you can read. So, but so his teacher said that he really should be an accelerated reading program, because they read these, whatever AR qualified books, and they get points and they win prizes every 6 weeks or whatever. Well, throughout the entire school so far this year, Ross is beating everyone, like even the 7th and 8th graders in AR points.
Wow.
He has won every 6 weeks so far.
And he's like, in kindergarten.
Pre-K.
Pre-K. He's in pre-K.
Pre-K.
He's the
He's
youngest.
in pre-K.
He's the youngest possible allowed in the school, and he's beating the oldest in the school.
He's read the most books, and he has not missed a question on any AR test. And
so he's not just like speeding through either. He's like actually ingesting it all.
That's what. And that's what's so impressive is that he comprehends it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, if you hand him a book, he can, especially like a novel. He'll change voices with each character.
Wow.
He gets it. He's always been really good with like nuances and conversations. You know how adults will talk over kids' heads and kids don't have no idea that they're being talked about. Once Ross was probably about 4.5 or so, that stopped. I'd be trying to talk over his head, and he's like, "I don't like it when you talk about me,"
or
I don't, I'm like, "I'm not talking about you," and he's like, "Yes, you are," But yeah, so he's amazing. He really is. Like I cannot believe that, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, I was worried that he wouldn't be able to live on his own.
Yeah.
And now he's just like, he walks
past
in
everyone.
And he's like, "Hey, Ross," and he's socially adjusted, and yeah, he can do 3 and 4 digit math problems in his head. Wow. Like you can give him numbers, like tell him, say, add 347 and 416, and he can tell you what it is. He's like Rain Man.
Do we have a video of
really
that?
Cute.
I know we have.
I think I wanted him counting by 17s.
Oh yeah.
Like I heard him count.
Oh, maybe it's this one. We'll watch this one, whatever it is, and see where we go.
Now let's talk about planets.
Planets.
Oh yeah. Now I correct them. Now.
Neptune.
Wow.
Very good. Shapes. Let's talk about shapes. Circle, square, triangle, rectangle, oval, or diamond, star.
Wow.
Good job. Let's talk about colors. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet.
He even knows indigo.
Violet. Very good. What about pink?
I know. And the thing is, he's all self-taught. Like, I was too busy trying to work on him to, dedicate any time to reading to him, or so he just picked this up, But yeah, he's
And then we have a capitals video, and then we have one where he's holding the gas can. Which one do you want to do first?
Let's see. I think the gas can. That one was that's an older one where
Is that him counting
I heard
to
him.
17?
He was saying the alphabet back. He was saying the alphabet backwards.
Wow.
Just like he was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
And
one.
then
Okay. Can you say alphabet backwards, please? E, Y, X, W, B, U, T, S, I, U, B, O, N, M, L, K, J, I, H, G, F, E, D, C, B, A.
Oh my God. I don't think I've ever heard the alphabet backwards until right now.
No, whenever he does stuff like this, like whenever I'll say count by 28, and he'll do it. Now I have to like look it up to see if he's right, because I'm like, he could just be saying shit and I have no idea.
Totally.
But he's right,
Wow. That's awesome. All right. The last one we have is the capitals. So we'll see. We'll watch that one.
What's the capital of Florida?
Tennessee.
What's the capital of Louisiana? What's the capital of Hawaii? What's the capital of Mississippi?
Jackson.
What's the capital of Massachusetts?
Boston.
What's the capital of California?
Escomato.
What's the capital of Alaska? What's the capital of Arizona? What's the capital of Colorado? What's the capital of Illinois?
I'm like, I don't even know this. You know, and I would run out of states
I know,
to
like,
even ask. I'd be like, oh God, I'm like running out of states and you know all the capitals. Like, oh my God.
I know, it's so cute that he doesn't know how to pronounce because he's never heard, like,
Yeah.
I didn't teach that to him. He just read that. He read the word Sacramento. He pronounces it Sacramento, but
Yeah.
you know,
And he's like,
because he's
or
never heard
something.
it pronounced
Right.
before, you know. But yeah, I think he must have like a photographic memory or stereographic memory or maybe both. But yeah, he's definitely savant type skills that
Yes.
but that he was displaying before he improved like emotionally, like with being able to connect and communicate. He was displaying like being like he was obsessed with his letter blocks, and like so he would have like he had 26 letter blocks. Obviously we kept him in this bucket because there was hell to pay if there was one missing. So it was a rule, like if you see a letter, they better be in this bucket, because whenever he wants to play with them, they're not all there, he'll throw a fit. Well, it got so bad very quickly that you dump out the bucket, and if one was missing, he'd immediately just start screaming. Like he wasn't talking then, he was just screaming.
And you're like,
and so we're frantically like, okay, what letter's missing? There's a letter missing somewhere, you know. And there was always, you know, it was always a letter missing, you know. But it was like he could tell, like he very quickly could scan them and tell that one was missing.
Wow.
And so yeah, he was showing those proclivities before in the real improvement with his just his affect and his social abilities.
Yeah.
So
well, and there's some aspect of it that he was showing high intelligence before the vaccine damage even occurred, right? Because he was talking pretty early and had a really high vocabulary. But even then, do you expect that compared to the other kids you had, that would have sort of ended in this same level of like genius, or do you think that is part of the vaccine?
I don't think so, because I mean, and I'm not trying to sound like a jackass, but all my kids are really smart.
Yeah, they sound pretty amazing.
They're all super smart, you know. Just don't really have to try at school, and excellent grades, and just thankfully have it very easy. But no, I didn't find that Ross was exceptionally more intelligent or showed signs of being more intelligent than any of my other kids.
Yeah.
Before.
So it's
almost like it's something by design.
Right. Which is interesting because Steve Mercer in the chat is reminding me that Wayne McRoy's book about autism and transhumanism is talking about how they've been using autism to study almost artificial intelligence systems and sort of processing of information. And here we are seeing this, and it does sort of remind you of like a computer or a robot, especially if he didn't regain his sort of socio-emotional reconnection like you're describing, then he'd be even more, like sort of robotic. And like, it's interesting. It's like, are they trying to turn humans into robots because that is like a goal, or are they trying to just study how to build better, artificial intelligence, or maybe both? Maybe they're both beneficial to the elite in some way.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously they're experimenting, but just not sure why. Like, what's their goal? Yeah. But it's definitely something that's a theme with other parents who've had any sort of success in recovering their child. Like Ross lost his autism diagnosis.
Wow.
About 7 months before he started pre-K.
And did those people who were working with him on his autism and measuring that and sort of following it, did they show any sort of surprise, or were they just like, no, whatever? Or were they like, what did you do?
Well, well, I mean, he went to the developmental pediatrician to get the diagnosis, and he suggested and prescribed, occupational therapy and, and physical therapy and whatnot. And I just like, yeah, give me my papers, let me go. I just wanted a diagnosis, just, for my own knowledge. And he I didn't take him back until I knew he was better.
Wow.
So I mean,
Yeah.
there was nobody really tracking him. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how little he went to the doctor.
Good.
But
It's better.
whenever I took him back, they did ask what I did, and I just told him that I took him off of gluten because I'm tired of being ridiculed.
Yeah.
For it. It's the same reason why I tell people that he has celiac disease.
Yeah.
Because
it's easy.
they respect that. Like his grandparents would gave him pizza one time, and they brought him home and were like, he loved it. I'm like,
of course
that's not the point.
Yeah.
Of course he fucking loves it. Yeah. It's pizza.
Right.
But he can't have it. And,
No.
and in 3 hours he's going to be, miserable, and you're just dropping him off and you're not going to see that. Of course he loves it. And now he's going to know that he's missing something.
Yeah.
Now he knows that he's missing out on something.
Aww. Yeah.
Whereas I was lucky before, he was so young that, he didn't have cake, pizza, and donuts that I had to, go away from him and be all sad about. He was so young whenever he went gluten-free that he didn't really notice the difference.
Right.
So dumbasses, gave it to him, and they're like, he loved it. I'm like, of course he fucking did.
Yeah. And people love heroin too, but we don't give it to them. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's
that's not the point. He can't have it.
Oh God.
It
so
makes him sick.
That's something I wanted to ask you about is, obviously the ridicule or the misunderstandings of people around you, have to be some of the hardest parts, aside from, seeing your child suffer. But what has that been like? Like, have you had a lot of kind of pushback from people, or especially now that he's in school?
Not now. I mean, not so much now. I mean, I know what to tell people, what not to tell people.
Yeah.
And other than having to get the vaccine exemption paperwork notarized for school, which and that's why I like this little school. It's just a little tiny private school. And they're not really too much of your business. I'm like, here's the paperwork. That's why it doesn't have a vaccine record.
Yeah. And when they're private, they don't have to really care about the government. So that's nice.
Right.
Not as much.
Right. Of course, we were all the kids were kicked out of the pediatric practice after several threatening phone calls.
That's horrifying.
Because I hadn't brought the kids in to get their vaccinations.
Bullies.
Yeah, and this doctor, his pediatrician, their pediatrician lives directly across the street from me.
Oh,
I see this man every day. Kicked me out of his practice.
Literally
I
your
wave at
neighbor.
him every day.
Good for you.
Yeah. I love it around Christmas time because Amazon will always deliver his packages here, and then I have to go knock on his door and give them to him.
Hi, here you go.
So
that's awesome.
But yeah, so I mean, other than that, I kind of choose my battles. I know what to tell, what I can tell people without, having to get involved in a huge fight.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Because I know who I'm going to convince and who I'm not going to convince. And if I can't convince people that are around him, like his grandparents, they actually now adhere to his diet. But
that's nice.
They thought it was more of a finally, but
they thought you were just being like a hippie or something.
like I'm like, wait, I have 3 kids. I had 3 kids before that. They have no kind of dietary restrictions, no anxiety, no mental health issues, no anything. Why all of a sudden at 37 do I want all this shit to deal with? Like I did not go looking for this at all. I was like backed into a corner and kind of had to do this, but it's caused a lot of problems. Divorce. So is your ex-husband kind of not on board with everything? Did he not see it the same, or like? He did, but he at the same time he also, it also opened the whole vaccine issue opened my eyes to a lot of other things. And that he thought that I was just like going way off insane the deep end. It was another awakening in your life, and he didn't awaken with you. It was just like, no, okay, well, yeah, I can see firsthand that this makes Ross sick and this happened to Ross. But other than that, yeah, now you went too far, you
Yeah.
know. And I'm like, no, buddy, you went too far. You know, I'm like,
Yeah.
you don't understand. I'm like, you know, because I mean, it's painful whenever someone that you care about doesn't doesn't see things that are how they really are, you know,
Absolutely.
and you know you have to leave them behind, but
Yes.
it happens.
It is really,
So,
really sad.
but but no, but we actually have a very good relationship and
That's cool.
very close and
Yeah.
friends and whatnot. Just yeah, he just doesn't have to be involved in my conspiracies.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, then you're both going to grow more and be happier that way. Honestly, it's not just like, it's not just you
Yeah,
like leaving him behind. It's like you're both going to progress faster if you're not, in this relationship where you're not fully connected or whatever. So that's a
right.
good thing. That's a good side effect.
Yep,
Not that it's easy in the
yep.
moment.
No, no, it wasn't easy in the moment, but it honestly the past 2 years have been just very have been very easy as far as um transition wise. It was an easy transition, which tells me it was right.
Yeah,
So
that's a good point. Yeah, you didn't have to fight for it. It kind of
yeah,
fell into place.
yeah,
So, and your
yep.
friends and sort of acquaintances, they're just like either in the loop if they kind of are in, on the right path, or not in the loop if they can't be convinced anyway.
Most of my friends these days are people who are in the loop,
Yeah,
who understand.
that's good.
Yeah, I kind of choose who I surround myself with.
Yeah,
So
and that
it's
helps.
it's like I just realized I could do that.
Yeah,
Like that was my decision.
you're like, oh
I'm like, I
yeah,
don't have to hang around these assholes. Why am I hanging around these
yeah.
assholes?
It's like I
I'm
just
like,
had
I
this.
don't have to.
Yeah, I just had a similar realization where I'm like, oh, I can like be myself all the time. I can just be honest all the time. I don't have
Hmm.
to. I don't have to hide this shit anymore because I kind of felt
Yeah.
before when I was a teacher, that I had to have like this certain public persona and this certain private persona, and I couldn't like mix the two. And now I'm like, if I'm gonna have a job, it's gonna be because they want me as I am, and otherwise I'm not gonna have that job. And
Right.
I'm not hurting anyone.
Yeah.
So if you can't handle the things that I think and do, then we're not compatible, and that's cool.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've yeah. It's very freeing when you realize that you don't have to drag people with you, kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
You know, if
Yeah.
they want to come, they'll be there.
It is hard too, like you said, you kind of know who you can convince and who you can't. And I'm kind of still in that space where I still want to convince the people who can't be convinced because I love them. And I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
and you just,
Yeah.
at some point, I just have to like get over that and just realize like they'll come when they want to, if they want to. And otherwise you just gotta let it
Right.
be.
Yeah.
So what do you think are kind of the like worst parts of society that sort of allow this autism and vaccine damage in general to continue? I know it's like a big question, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think it targets different sectors of the population differently.
yeah,
Old people are terrified of catching the flu and line up for their flu shots and yeah, and then you have the I don't know you have the really angry people like most people that are going to not agree with you about if I as a mom come to you and say, hey, my child got this shot, this immediately happened,
yeah.
this bad thing.
It's
um
horrifying.
in what world would any other mom be able to say, with anger, no, it didn't, you're
Yeah,
wrong? Are you kidding me? What if the roles were reversed and you said, my kid ate this strawberry and had an allergic reaction? I'm like, that's bullshit.
yeah.
It's the
Right.
same thing.
Yeah.
Like they don't, but there's such an anger and defensiveness built into the programming with it that and we all are taught to trust authority. Somebody wearing that white coat.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. No
doctor
matter what.
said. They don't even know, but I do know that the that I'll give the kid's pediatrician the benefit of the doubt and say that maybe that he does not know inherently like
Yeah.
what kind of damage exactly like
Yeah.
the agenda. I'll say that maybe doesn't know that, but I do know that he lied straight to my face whenever he said that there was nothing different about Ross after I brought him back than
Yeah.
than 3 weeks before, and told me, called me hysterical. I'm like, okay,
So that's cognitive dissonance.
that
Like you can't.
that require right,
Yeah.
but that requires some sort of conscious effort
Yeah.
to deceive.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He may not know why he's deceiving or what he's hiding, but he knew that he was lying.
Yeah.
Like it. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's part of it is
I always
like
wonder how.
his livelihood kind of depends on his continued, like going along with his system. But it's also like, I can't imagine looking at a child and seeing harm and not acknowledging it and trying to stop it. Like I don't know. That's an extreme cognitive dissonance that I can't understand. I can't. I look at any kid suffering and I'm like instantly want to hurt someone. I'm like, who did this? And I feel like every human kind of has that in them somewhere. Like, it's weird.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand that Blue Cross Blue Shield, the big health insurance company. I don't know if it's just here or everywhere, but
yeah, it is.
But they do pay the pediatric group that my kids went to a sizable bonus for having 100% of their patients vaccinated,
Which is fucked up. It's fucked up.
And I'm just like, I'm looking at these people across here. I'm like, y'all have enough money. What do you want?
Yeah, why do you need this bonus?
I mean, what do you want at the expense of my kid that I'm going to parade up and down and in front of your house and bring over to your house trick or treating just because?
Yeah.
Even though we can't eat any of the candy.
Yeah.
I'm still bringing them.
Yeah.
Look, here he is. Say trick or treat, Ross.
Right.
Tell him fuck you too.
That's awesome.
Because he will. He does like to cuss too. So.
I love that. Every intelligent person does, I think. They say it's a sign of intelligence.
And it's not a repetitive thing. He only does it appropriately.
Yes.
So.
He knows when to use it.
I respect it. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That's belief in authority and these sort of structures we have built in to reward this horrifying reality and this desire you have to do what's best into it. Like you were saying, some of these older people will like line up and their fear of getting the flu or whatever. And we all have this sort of like, oh, what if we didn't and then we died or something, like, or what if I didn't vaccinate my kid and then they got like the measles or something. And it's interesting though, because a lot of the things we vaccinate against are like not life threatening. And so and if you really look at even the vaccine makers themselves will admit that death is a possible side effect. And so you're like, well, if measles would never kill you, why would you take something that might in order to prevent it possibly? Right. It's weird.
I caught the measles as a child from my baby sister who was vaccinated for the measles.
Wow. You got it from shedding from the vaccine.
Yeah, both myself and my older sister both caught the measles from her. And we lived. I didn't even know I was sick. Like, I had to stay home from school. And my mom had to keep dragging my ass back inside because I was outside playing.
You're like, yeah.
I didn't know I was sick.
Yeah.
I'm like, I had the measles. I didn't even know.
Well, they used to have measles parties and chickenpox parties to get that, over with so that you could not get it when you're older and die from it, because that's when it is deadly. And people now are like freaking out about it. I'm like, do you not remember measles parties? Like, I never went to one. I think that maybe my parents had gone to them, but like you'd heard about them. Like, they exist. I don't know. People.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. But people don't understand that you had they make the measles into such a scary thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, they lie about it and say that it's, oh my God, and they show these horrible pictures of it's just a rash, for fuck's sake, it's a fever, but they make it such a scary thing that, fear is such a powerful motivator, and
they fake half of that picture that is somewhat popular and will go around. That's a baby.
I know what you're talking.
Yeah, it's a baby with measles, and they've like literally like there's the picture of the same exact baby without the measles, and they literally like put a skin on it, and I'm like, you fucking assholes. Like, You couldn't find a real
But-
picture of the measles, so you had to make like the scariest one you could. That fuck.
Yeah, that does. I mean, that's not even what measles look like. But my mom had German measles whenever she was a kid, and she said that her mom just threw a blanket over the dining room table, and her sister just played underneath the table that day for the day they felt the worst because she said that if they got in the sunlight, it would make them go blind. I don't know.
Yeah.
They were always trying to scare them about some shit, but
Right.
But she lived, and I had the measles, and I lived. You know what? I don't have to worry about ever catching it again.
Yep.
I mean, I'm basically unvaccinated.
Yeah.
Every vaccine I got whenever I was a kid, has a shelf life of effectiveness of 10 years max.
Right.
So all these people, half the people, I say more than half the people screaming about unvaccinated kids. I'm like, you assholes are unvaccinated too.
Yeah.
That's
true.
Y'all are walking around unvaccinated too.
Yeah.
I mean, how many of you have gone and gotten your MMR boosters as adults? None of you.
No.
You're unvaccinated.
So, and also, like when you get the disease naturally, you have a lifelong immunity, period. When you're vaccinated, like you said, you have to boost it all the time. So it's actually better to have this disease still alive in the population and moving around so that we can keep our lifelong immunity and not have further complications from it. I feel like we're like having this, it's almost like how we overprescribe antibiotics for all these years, and now we have these like super bacteria. I feel like we're doing that to like viruses.
Plus, there are a lot of studies that show that gaining immunity from having had the wild version of the measles gives you a large protection against many forms of cancer.
Wow. Okay, so getting the wild one could protect you from getting cancer, but also a lot of the vaccines have been shown to be associated with cancer. They cause cancer, and they restrict you from getting the actual immunity to cancer. It's fucking crazy. Right,
and I think I was telling you last night or night before last that is my mom. My mom died in 2017, and what the cancer that she died of was a rare soft tissue cancer, which was directly linked by Dr. Mary Sherman, but in the book, book Dr. Mary's Monkey, to the polio vaccine whenever it was first released. And that's the polio vaccine that she got. And Dr. Mary Sherman said that she thought that her research showed that there was a simian virus or a variant of the simian virus in the vaccine that was going to possibly cause soft tissue cancer explosion in the population in 2 to 4 decades, and my otherwise healthy mom suddenly developed this very rare, the same exact cancer that she was talking about.
Wow.
So
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so
it's crazy because I also got the HPV vaccine when it was kind of first newer, and before I really understood a lot of the vaccine side of the conspiracies, and then within a year or so of getting the final, because it's a series of 3 shots, I developed cervical precancer, and it was so aggressive and fast that they were like, whoa, like they thought I was going to go into full-blown cancer. And I aggressively treated it on my own by quitting smoking and by taking folic acid and just a couple other things that I just researched because I was like, fucking, this shit's not going to stop just from whatever these people are like waiting. They're like, come back in 3 months, even though it's really aggressive, and we'll see what happens. And I'm like, I don't want to die. So, I'll do these things. And I got it. Yeah. And I got it luckily. But I'm like, at that time, I kind of thought, okay, this is a cancer caused by a virus. We acknowledge that. That's like scientific fact, allegedly. How have we never ever searched for other cancers caused by viruses? How come we don't have a connection in our minds between viruses and cancers? Because this one is one example, and why is it the only one? How could it be the only one? Like, that doesn't even seem possible.
And how are so many viruses introduced into so many humans through vaccines?
Yeah.
Live viruses, dead viruses, if they want to, whatever they kill,
we're riddled with cancer.
They're dead or alive, but yeah. I mean, I think that it's, I've read a lot of research that says that shows that cancer was not really a thing, so many years ago.
Yeah.
You know, like
it's like
many
maybe it
years
happened and
ago.
it was like undiagnosed or something, but it's like there really wasn't much. And I kind of hate that argument because they're like, they say the same thing about autism. They're like, the reason autism is so much more prevalent now is it was just not diagnosed before. I'm like, dude,
No,
you think you would notice kids screaming for weeks and not talking, and these things would be obvious whether you called it autism or not, and we would just look back and be like, oh, that was autism, there was not a name for it or something. Just like consumption and these other things, like we would know.
Right. I mean, they're trying to normalize it, and even a lot of parents that I've talked to are like, I know a girl who has a woman who has two kids, and they're both autistic, but she's embraced it. She, has gotten them service dogs, and I mean, she's like, wears the t-shirts, and I'm just like,
Gets
don't
the
you want to try
tattoos.
some dudes? Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, it's not normal.
No.
It's not normal.
And there is this like
this
celebration.
Something happened to your kid.
Yeah.
Right.
And I get
there's nothing wrong with my kid.
Yeah.
Bullshit. There's something wrong with your kid. Yeah. Just like my sister will say all day long, my kids are fine. They had all their vaccines and they're fine. They're not fine. They have eczema. You have one that has severe asthma. You have one that has seasonal allergies so bad she can't leave the house. She also can't get out of bed without putting on her glasses.
Yeah.
She's like 8 years old. I'm like, they're not fine.
Yeah.
I'm like, your kids are not fine.
And it's not like before modern medicine, we just had like farms full of kids that were like, couldn't see and stumbling around dying because of allergies. Like, like we generally had like pretty healthy people actually. And I don't know. I always think about
friends growing up had to be on like her seasonal allergy medication or, or had, I might have had, I think I knew one person with asthma, and that was it. But we had special ed classes at our school, and I'm telling you, nobody in special ed was autistic. I did not know I didn't know of autism until I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
And I don't think I ever actually laid eyes on a person who was diagnosed as being autistic until I was in my 30s.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, I'm not dumb.
No. You're clearly very smart.
Now that I had a kid, I had a kid that was diagnosed and then lost their diagnosis. I've seen it. I'd never seen that growing up.
Yeah.
This is new.
It's definitely new. It's definitely increasing at a rate that's insane. And I think it's crazy to pretend like this is just something that we've newly discovered how to talk about. It's like we know how to talk.
Now they're going back and diagnosing historical figures.
I hate that.
Einstein's autism. How do you fucking know that?
Yeah.
How do you know that?
How would you ever? That's ridiculous.
But I've had several people tell me, well, Ross is super smart, but, and you shouldn't worry about him because Einstein was autistic. I'm like, you don't even know if he's real.
Yeah. Yeah. Your evidence is like.
They're like, what? And I'm like, nothing.
Your evidence is like 3 pictures all on the same day.
I know.
I love that. And some writing.
I know. And then I'm just like, birds aren't real. And then I just stop.
I don't know if your microphone came unplugged or not. I can still hear you, but the quality of the audio changed somewhat. So like it's fine, but maybe if something changed, you could know. So I also wanted to ask you then, so those are some of the worst parts of our society that sort of allow all of this to continue. But I also wanted to ask you what you think some of the best parts of our society or culture are that might be the way that we sort of find our way out of this trap.
I think I see parents kind of going rogue a lot more.
Yeah.
Like, and
go rogue.
Okay, well, I'm not a doctor. Yeah, I'm not a doctor, but I know more than this doctor who has seen my kid for, total 40 minutes in their life, you know, and they're more willing to do research on their own. It may have something to do with the access to information, although the quality of the information you can access now is just in the past 6 months or so has declined greatly.
Really noticeable.
Like, it's like I was trying to find some information for another mom who was in a similar situation and whose child's much younger. and a lot of the links, like my go-to information, I can't even find anymore. You know, it's gone. It's just, and in its place is just stuff saying this, you're wrong. This is bullshit. You know, this, you know, it's just propaganda.
Yeah, they've really got it like clamped down now, what people can access, and yeah, it's pretty scary. It's also scary how much people are just swallowing that. They're like, well, Snopes said so, and I'm like, dude, I could be Snopes. Like, you could be Snopes. Anybody could say anything.
I know but I mean, I actually saw an ad for how to get your, it could be whatever, any bullshit information that you want, how to get it to the top of a Google search, any Google, you know, like the most common Google searches. It could be anything. It could be even a lie. It doesn't matter, you know, and they were offering like these classes, like charging like $500, you know, like I'm sure some sort of pyramid scheme or whatever. But, you know, I'm like, that's probably half the shit that I have to wade through to try to find anything useful. You know?
Well, I mean, sometimes you just literally can't find it anymore.
Yep.
Yeah. It's pretty terrifying.
YouTube and Google, and you know, and even on like DuckDuckGo, I mean, I still can't find a lot of stuff. On there. So I don't know. I think it's going to be. I think we're going to have to find alternate means to convey information before too long.
Yeah. Well, hopefully there's enough of us in each location geographically, because if shit gets really crazy, like, I mean, you'll just literally have to talk to your neighbors, and that's go back to the old school methods, and hopefully there'll be enough people.
So I just had the doctor across the street, so I'm totally screwed.
Yeah, you just like duct tape his mouth and be like, now we can talk.
I know. I think I'll just have to like just take off and head somewhere else.
Yeah,
if that were to happen, but yeah, it's so hard to get it. I mean, I can't even tell now. It used to be you could tell like if you were interacting with a bot or not.
Yes.
You know, and now it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, the keywords are pretty easy to pick up on for them. They're learning more and more every day with machine learning and AI. So.
And ethically and morally, they're blurring the lines a lot. Like friend requests that. The people that I'm friends with on Facebook that I know I've never heard of before. I never accepted a request from them or never got a request.
Yeah.
I'm like, who are these people? You know?
Yeah.
And I always have like tons of mutual friends, but I'm like, I would never have accepted.
Yeah, because even that, like, they could just they can just insert this friend into all these people's friends lists and now say, these are all mutual friends. And it's like, well, they weren't until you put them in there. Like, what? Yeah, weird shit is happening, and people don't always like notice it, but I know in our kind of circles we do notice it more. But it's it's interesting what people will notice and what they weren't, or what they will believe. Like, they won't even, if it's a lot of people, if you told them that, they wouldn't even believe it, and you're like, okay. I mean, it happens.
Well, so I think that's I think that's by design. I think it's to try to combat people's trust in themselves, you know, like, did I add that person? Did I, you know?
Yeah.
I think that, the people that actually can think for themselves, they, you know, if they can make you question what you're doing and your decisions, and then I think that's, why would that not be a goal?
Well, that's been like a theme this week for me, sort of. And I was talking with Michael Wan earlier today about it as well, that a lot of these things, I think, are literally just to make us question ourselves and our senses and our memories and not trust ourselves, which is exactly the opposite of what you should be doing. Because I think, like, on a deep internal level, when you get quiet enough and, you know, clear enough, like, you kind of know almost anything that you need to know, like, just within yourself. But if you're doubting it, you're not going to know it. If you don't believe that you can know it, you're not going to know it. So it's an effective method of shutting us down.
Right. If they can even make you think about whether or not you need to think about, do you know it? I think it affects. You know, I think I think we're born with the ability to inherently trust what we know. Yeah. And I think that's been taken away from us.
Yes, or at least attempting to.
Yeah.
And I think those of us who kind of stay awake are kind of the people who are better at listening to ourselves over all the like noise of what's out here. Which is another positive, you know, like you're saying, like it's cool that a lot more parents are kind of waking up and resisting and, you know, homeschooling and sort of being their own, you know, professional, but also this trend of people who are learning to trust themselves or realizing they can trust themselves instead of all of this bullshit.
Right. And the homeschooling thing has blown up here. It's gotten really big in the past few years. And there were a lot of avenues to connect with other parents that were homeschooling, but they have legally started making it harder and harder to homeschool your kids now.
Right.
I mean, they make it almost impossible. I mean, so basically what the situation they have here now is that you pretty much have to find a person that is that you pay to homeschool your child along with other children. So you're sending them to school, basically.
So I want to start
the school.
I should offer this service because I'm still certified for another 5 years or something as a national board recognized here. Like it's like a big deal, the certifications I have. So I should just start offering a service that anybody who wants to, I guess maybe they have to pay, if they have to pay me, maybe they pay me like $5 a month or something. And I just like check some boxes like, yep, they're doing it. Good job. Like, you know, something cheap just so people can get around that loophole because it's fucked up. And just like the doctors will sort of bully you into vaccines and whatever other shit that they have to push. The school too, when I've worked in schools, will bully parents out of homeschooling. They'll bully kids out of getting out of their testing because you can legally get out of testing and a lot of people don't realize it. And then when some kids try to, the school will just like hammer them with bullying them and their parents trying to get them to take this stupid fucking test. And it's like, so even once you realize that you can get out of it, you now have all of this pressure to just do it. And it's just horrible. It's horrible. I can't understand. It's the same thing as when a doctor won't acknowledge the damage that their vaccines are doing. I can't understand being an adult in this system and thinking that it's okay for you to bully these kids into doing these things. And I'll stop now because I could rant for 5 hours, but it's pretty fucked up.
It is. It's extremely fucked up. And, you know, I've known this pediatrician for 20 years, you know. He's seen all my kids. Yeah. Like I said, I didn't bring him that much because I'm, you know, kind of lax on shit like that, you know, and if they're really sick, then I'll bring them, you know. But 4 kids, you know, and over the course of 20, you know, almost 20 years. Yeah. And just to very suddenly over one thing be called hysterical and, you know.
And to kick you out.
That needed... kicked me out. I've never been kicked out of anything unless I was drunk, and I was totally sober that day. So, you know, I'm like, and I was right, you know. I've never been kicked out of anything when I was right, you know.
Yeah, that's awful.
So it was hurtful. It was, and it made me question myself, you know, a little bit.
It's a betrayal.
You know, until it is, you know, and I think that, you know, I think it's all about dividing us different ways, you know?
Yep. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a good point. This is another very divisive issue and people will unfriend you and abandon you over it, you know, which is probably something that you've dealt with. But what is the hardest part sort of about this path now where you're, you have this child and you have this evidence and you have this sort of way that you're going now, which is way better. But what's the most difficult part about it?
I think the hardest part has been my enthusiasm to you know, and like I said, this is just my story and what happened with me and Ross and what worked for him. But it, you know, things that tangibly worked that wouldn't hurt to try, and when I've tried to share it with other people that I thought could benefit from it, you know, I was, you know, met with complete disdain, you know, and it's just like anything when you find out the truth about and you want to share it with people that you care about and you try to do so and you don't get the reaction that your soul wants it.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of disheartening.
Right.
You know, it's like, okay, well, what do I do with this information? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's really sad. You know, and you'd think people could kind of see like where you're coming from. And again, it's all of that programming, and that cognitive dissonance is like nearly impossible to get through. Like people just don't want to think about it, and they already think they have the answers anyway. So why listen?
Or, you know, they believe it's good enough for them to believe that, you know, someone told them that somebody smarter than them already figured this out, so they don't have to think about it.
That one idea, if we could just change that one idea that there are people who are smarter than you.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's people who are more capable than me in like every possible realm, but I also know that if I apply myself in that realm, I will also be as capable at some point. It might take me longer, I might be faster, but like, we're all capable people. I hate that idea.
Right. And yeah, just you know, memorization does not equate to knowledge, or
Right.
you know, and there are things that you can know for yourself, and hopefully nobody's ever in a position to have to experiment on their own child. But
Yeah.
you know, whenever you're backed into a corner, then you know, sometimes you have to do something. And like I said, anybody who knows somebody who could benefit from some of the things we did, I have like a whole list of things that I've done, and whether they worked, whether they had no effect, whether they had a little bit of effect, that I'm willing to share with anybody, whether
cool.
they use it or not. I don't care. But you know, it's like I said, there were at least 4 things on there that made a huge difference for Ross. I mean, a difference in, I know that when he gets older, he can live by himself.
Yes,
and
which
take
is
care of
amazing.
himself.
Yeah, you went from
Yeah,
fearing
because
that
I'm
might...
going to need some time alone in nature at some point. You
right.
know?
Someday, you deserve that.
Someday, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful that he went from you feeling like, you know, you might never be able to have him live independently, to you knowing for sure that he can, and that's totally, you know, feasible. But Philip K. Balls is asking, where does Courtney get her vitamin C? I've heard there are lots of sites that sell bunk vitamins.
Yeah, just the regular ascorbic acid is probably not the best kind. I mean, I'm sure it has some benefits. There's a I can get you the link for it.
Yeah.
There's a fruit that is I don't know how to pronounce it. That's why I don't want to say it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a fruit that I can't remember the name of it. Let me see. Let me look it up real quick. Let me go on my Amazon.
If you want to look it up, and we can share the link in the chat room, that'd be cool. Yeah, because I know there's even like you're saying, there's some vitamin C that's like maybe not the best, maybe gives you some. I know there's some that are like really hard to absorb into your system, and then there's other types that are really easy to absorb into your systems, and I think that's true with any vitamin. And then also you'd have to think about like brands and whether or not they're actually getting, you know, a good source and with a good, you know, no fillers in it, or like there's all sorts of aspects of vitamins like that to look into. And I know that in general, I have heard that if you have a Natural Grocers near you, that Natural Grocers does a pretty good job of like vetting all of their products and making sure that they're the right kind and the good kind, and you know, the kind that you can trust. So if you kind of can't do any research or find out what's the best, I know that in general, if you go to Natural Grocers, you'll have like a good shot of getting something pretty awesome.
Right. And if you like I said, just like the most vitamin C supplements that you buy in the store are not, I mean, like I said, they will give you some benefits, but ascorbic acid is not necessarily what you want. It's
Chris is saying that he gets mixed ascorbate powder. I don't know if that's what you were looking for.
Yeah, this is a powder, but it's actually a fruit seed powder. It starts with a C. Let's see. I just have it on auto ship now.
Yeah. Which would make sense if you're all using it and you're all super dosing vitamin C, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and it actually and I started out with just like the Now Foods brand
Oh yeah, the kind of
or
yeah.
right of vitamin C, but shortly after that, I think, let's see, it's one that permits like not no sea salts. Here, I'll share the link. It's it's called sea salts GMO free buffered vitamin C powder.
C as in the letter C, salts.
Yeah, C-salts. And like I said, we just started with the very, like, the recommended dose on the package, and every 3 or 4 days would double it and see, as long as it didn't cause any digestive issues, any more digestive issues than we already had, then it's safe to increase it. So you just increase it to digestive tolerance.
So it's a little, it can be a little bit rough it's pretty acidic, right?
Right. And a lot of people's, like I said, my daughter, her tolerance is really low, like over 2,000 milligrams, and she starts having some stomach upset. But Ross, for some reason, he can take 5,000 milligrams a day.
Probably because his body's like, whatever, let's just do whatever we have to do to, like, get this in.
Right.
Like, it knows.
Also, yeah, and also I've noticed that I kind of, have you heard of the MTHFR genetic mutation?
No.
That is common with a lot of kids with autism. I say kids because, I mean, I don't know any autistic adults, but there's a genetic mutation that is very prevalent in kids with autism.
Interesting.
It's capital MTHFR. Like I said, I don't really like doctors anymore, so I haven't taken Ross to be tested for it.
Yeah.
But it affects their ability to process vitamin B12 and folic acid, which, folic acid is, they say, is so important in the neurological development in the womb.
And it fights cancer.
Right.
As I learned.
So there are, for kids who have this genetic mutation, they have to have a specific form of these vitamins, the methylfolate form of B12 and of folic acid. You are not going to find this this form in most stores.
Okay.
There's one brand, Smarty Pants vitamins for children or for women will have it. Most B12, if you read on the back of any vitamin that has B12 in it, it's gonna say B12 in the form of cyanocobalamin and folic acid. But in the methylfolated forms, if you have the right vitamins, it'll say it'll have methyl METHYL in front of those words, and it'll have methylfolate. And we did notice, maybe not a huge jump with Ross, but we did notice a big improvement in his digestive issues after we started on those vitamins, switched him from his regular vitamin to that. So I'm fairly certain he probably has that genetic mutation.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an expensive test, and it's not covered by insurance a lot of times, and a lot of doctors won't order it.
And it's interesting.
I didn't try, but
so I wonder if you had that test and you saw that, your kid did have this mutation, you could maybe not get vaccinations after that, because maybe it'd be very likely, that they would have that effect on your child.
However, but no, because I think up to 40%, I believe, of the population has some sort of variant of this genetic mutation, which makes them more susceptible to vaccine injuries. So,
okay.
Yeah, so there, and like I said, there are different variations of the mutation, but yeah, I think it's pretty widely accepted that it makes whoever has it more susceptible to a vaccine injury.
And what did you say the percentage was of people who?
I think 40%.
Wow. Wow.
Up to 40%.
Well, just
So,
willing to just toss them under the bus.
Yeah, and whenever I see my kids, I see like the Mendel square, with like the,
Yeah.
4 kids. Like, I'm like, okay, 1, 2, 3, and I'm just like, I just the 4th square,
Yep.
So, because I mean, none of my other kids, like I said, my kids were never vaccinated on schedule. They were always vaccinated late, just because
Yeah, just wouldn't go in.
It's just how it was. Yeah.
Right. But still,
So I don't know that had an effect or not, but I think now if I had to consciously make a decision, I would choose to not vaccinate at all. So.
Yeah. I can't think of, I know there's people who kind of are like, there's some people who don't do any vaccinations, there's some people who do all of them, and there's some people who kind of like pick and choose which ones might seem kind of more important. And I'm in a place now where I've luckily never had kids, but if I did, I would definitely not do a single vaccine, no matter what they said. I was like, none of them seem in any way like they would be necessary. I don't think polio ever came from a virus. I don't think the flu is helped by flu vaccines, and all these other ones are like not life threatening. So I'm good.
No, I mean, I think there's a lot of alternative research that shows that like Epstein-Barr virus and chronic fatigue syndrome are just variations of effects of the polio vaccine. They're just forms of polio.
God, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's also a lot of really interesting research that shows that polio could have all along just been chemical, oversaturation and chronic toxicity, and then once
they've been experimenting on us for a lot longer than what we know. I mean, they've been experimenting on us for a long time. Well, so like I think I have a vaccine injury.
Yeah.
It's not anything major, but I can only I can't close my left eye unless I close my right eye. And I see you doing it. Yeah. I can't do that. I can close this eye. Can't close the other one unless I close this eye too.
Weird.
And they say that the trigeminal nerve damage is very common to the diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus vaccine that was used back in the 80s whenever I got it, like the facial nerve damage. And I'm like, wow. Could be. I mean, I don't know that, but I'm just like, could be,
I got interested in whether or not, because some people say that scoliosis might be a vaccine damage thing, and I have really severe scoliosis to the point where most of my spine is fused by metal rod that are like a foot and half long each or whatever. Yeah. So my back, my spine doesn't move basically, except for a few vertebrae up here and like a few at the bottom, and all of the middle is fused and somebody said that maybe that's vaccine damage, and I was like, wow, yeah, because they call it idiopathic, which just means they don't know. We don't know what causes this. Yeah. And no one in my family.
Which means they don't want to say.
Yeah. Right. So then I'm like, dude, that actually would make sense. I mean, it started kind of late, so maybe it was a later vaccine, or who knows? It could be though, and so that's interesting. And
so it started late?
Yeah, it started with most people, it starts kind of around puberty. And that's when it started for me, and it was pretty aggressive and pretty fast moving, and I ended up with a 53-degree curve on top and a 47, I think, degree curve on bottom.
So like an S?
Yeah, it was an S shape.
Were you premature? Were you born premature?
No, I don't think so. But my mom definitely smoked and did other things while I was in there, because she didn't even know she was pregnant for a long time. So I think I think there was a bit of drugs and stuff. So that could definitely be part of it too. But I think I was born on time, like at the right time. I don't think I was a preemie.
Yeah. I was just wondering, my niece was born at 24 weeks gestation. She was 1 pound, 4 ounces, and she had very severe scoliosis.
Oh, wow.
Like onset at puberty too. She had to have surgically corrected. So
yeah,
I was just wondering, because of course they were like, oh, we need to give her all these vaccines because she was born early.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah.
So I wonder if it is that. It was definitely has been like the biggest problem in my life. So, if that's what it came from, it's like, even worse because it's preventable then. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I guess I wanted to ask you then, it seems like maybe it's obvious, but what sustains you on your path of sort of moving forward, and keeping your, wits about you and your guns shooting straight on this all?
um, I don't even know at this point. I think probably just, every day and every little milestone, every little extra thing that I see him do as far as in his progress, just like, it's kind of like a validation and maybe a little vindication too,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think when I gave up, whenever I realized that the people that I thought were behind me were not, that their support was conditional, and that was kind of on my own anyway, and it was up to me to protect these little ones. And I kind of thought, I started just doing what I did for me and for them.
Yeah.
So I don't look too much outside of what's right here,
Yeah.
as far as in my decision making.
That's awesome. You know where your sphere is. So where do you think, where do you hope to go? Obviously you're hoping, and knowing that, that Ross is going to be a fully independent, intelligent, awesome young man. But what else are your hopes for the future?
Because, I don't know. I hope that he's happy. I hope my kids aren't assholes. I hope that, that my kids are kind. I hope that some of the things that I say to them, like whether or not they roll their eyes at it now, I hope it soaks in and it's at least there in their mind. I hope it's not a painful process for them to see the truth in things.
Yes.
So I just want things to be easier for them.
It's awesome. It's an awesome ideal to have, that you can both have them be exposed to the truth and kind of immersed in the truth, but also be happy, like well-adjusted people. Because I think if I were the elite, that's what I would be afraid of the most.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to. I know that if I push too much, then I get complete rejection of any ideas. So I'll just say things, and I might get a little eye roll here or there. Sometimes I get a question, but it's there at least, and I know they're smart enough to think that, they just kind of, like I did. Like I find all the time, I've heard things before that I just kind of stored away without even thinking about it. And then later on something comes up and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I can make a connection, So I'm kind of hoping I'm doing that for them.
Yeah.
I'm hoping I'm not failing them,
Totally. I think that's actually like a nice way to look at doing this with any human, even whether it's your kids or not, right? Like, because you can plant that little seed like you're talking about, and then they know where to come back to if they ever need it to grow more.
Right.
And that's maybe the best that we can do. And I know you said that you would be willing to share your research and notes and sort of what works and what doesn't, and, links to different vitamins and stuff with people if they're interested in it. Is there a place where people could find you if they were watching this video like a month from now and they're like, oh my God, I want to talk to her about this? Is there a place they can go? Or if not, maybe there's, if you comment on the YouTube video, then they can reply to that comment and it would at least alert you to their interest? Or what do you think?
I can do that, or I mean, I can just give my email address. If they can't find me on Facebook, my email address is
awesome.
C as in Courtney, V as in Victor, B as in boy, Chancey, CHANCEY @gmail.com. And I mean, I have the list ready to go. So if anybody just wants to email, say, hey, send it to me, I want to look at it.
That's awesome.
Then I'll send it.
I'm gonna put it in the chat right now.
Awesome.
So it's there for people too if they missed that spelling or anything. So that's really cool that you're going to be available to people in the future, because I think that's kind of the best we can do from here is try to spread what we can to whoever might listen. But where do you want to leave people as your sort of final words of wisdom as people are leaving the show? What do you want to leave them with?
I don't know. I think I feel most strongly about, like, if you feel like something is wrong, don't. And everyone who you should be listening to is telling you that everything's okay. If your gut tells you something's wrong, then go with your gut and see if there's something you can do about it. you know, because there's, you know, I often think about where would also be if I didn't do it and do what I did. And I mean,
so quickly.
His progression was not going to be his natural progression of things. Right. You know, he would be in a completely different place today.
Absolutely.
You know, and the things that I did for him were things that other parents had done for their kids. So, you know, it's like, you know, they were able, and those parents may not ever know that they helped my child that much, but, you know, just like I may never know that, but I want to pass it on.
Yes. What a beautiful thing. I love that message of like listening to your gut and paying attention and not listening to these people who are telling you nothing's happening when you know there is. But also that same message of, you know, that, like you said, like what would have happened if you didn't? He would be an entirely different child. His whole entire life would be different and obviously much worse. And you basically saved his life, you know, on multiple levels by paying attention to your gut and being present in the moment. And honestly, like, I can't imagine getting through that, especially that initial time period sounds just so hellish and awful. And it's just, you're a pretty amazing person to persevere through that and do your best for him. And obviously he's an awesome little guy. So good job.
Yeah, he's pretty great.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. And fellow travelers of the path, it is a beautiful thing. This has been your analog, electric, concentric dose of wisdom according to Courtney Chancey. Courtney, it's an amazing story that you have, and it's very heart-wrenching and effective. And I just am very grateful that you are sharing it here tonight. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Lindsay.
It's been awesome to have you. In the darkest chaos and disconnection we find, we are never lost. No matter what evils they perpetuate on even the most innocent and vulnerable of us, we find that we have a chance. For every ill that was ever conceived, nature has provided us a path out of the chasm created for us. We are not superhuman and we are not magicians, but nature is beyond human and is full of magic, and it is always waiting there for us to fall into its verdant embrace. Until you find your way back to the garden, travel well, aim for balance, and always look inside first. Mwah.
It's a one-on-one lesson, so do your homework. Make your dome hurt while up on earth. My bones are blessed from holy dirt. Vibes manifested to words that told me search for verbs and adjectives to describe birth. Worth more than one can speak, while the tongue beats a weak, a sour taste in your mouth, bittersweet. Words can also kill you when you sleep. Mind condition, low frequencies while the subconscious mind listens. I can tell a vision filled with lies disguised as truth and spread it like the word to the youth. Watch the tube. A place where the God was booed is sorcery. To recreate a God forgery does more than meets the eye. Not too many know. Just hear me flow like the eye of Horus Henio. Yeah, not ready to leave until we believe we're free to go. You hear me? Run.
From the ether, the material will eat ya. Stuck on this plane, lanes use jet fuel to greet ya. The dimensional 3, hey, meet me on top of the 4th. Didn't climb Jacob's ladder to squab with a sword. Forged with ink drizzle, branched out. Try quiet your lamps now. Ascension past the matter that they slam out they damn mouths. We ain't on land now, but they over understand. Sacrificing wisdom, hoarding dumber kosher wicked hands. Putting faith in worthless worship of the mortals. Artificial portals, mass ingestion of the black goo. Bioengineered morsels, conversing with machine elves. Bypassing baggage, they stuck on Android screens now. I'm scrolling emerald tablets. Moloch living lavish, off the backs of the savage. Them clasped hands at the Sabbath. Smack of energy damage, they done twisted the tongues. With nanotech in the lungs, the awakening's begun. All they really can do is fucking run.